This is how tonight's hockey looks. Winnipeg, New Jersey, of course, is postponed due to weather. New Jersey, East Coast, a lot of the states under snow, lots of snow, snow everywhere. It's March, damn it. Smarten up, Mother Nature, smarten up. Um, Other action, Washington is playing Minnesota, and this is a matchup between two guys who should be fighting for the Vezina, Holtby and Dubnyk. If Minnesota's going to take advantage of Washington, they're ripe for it. Washington hasn't been playing very well. Holtby's been fine. It's the team in front of him hasn't been very good over its last little while, and Ovechkin's in a huge slump. So hopefully he doesn't break out of it. If you're a Minnesota fan, if you're a Caps fan, you want him to break out of that slump right now. You're paying him a lot of money to break out of slumps like this. Um, I can't pick a winner between the two. They're they're both fantastic. This could be a Stanley Cup final preview. It could be two teams that are ripe for first round knockouts too. There's just no way of knowing right now. The Islanders are in Carolina. So last night, before I went out, I said I didn't like Berube as a starter for the Islanders. Then I saw the score, which was 8-4 for Carolina during the game, and I just thought I went, yeah. Um, the Islanders had a chance. See this? Toronto now has a game in hand on the Islanders, and the Islanders are a point back. And Tampa's tied them. So the Islanders have to win this game tonight. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If they don't win this game tonight, they've got Toronto and Tampa both in the driver's seat. Chicago and Montreal, and this is also a matchup of two potential Vezina Trophy finalists. Price, not necessarily this year, unless he goes on a tremendous run from now until the end of the year, which he could. And Crawford has been solid all year. I think what works against Crawford is that Darling's been good too. And a lot of the time when you look at who wins Vezina, it'll be a goalie that plays 60 games, and the backup is okay. He's all right, but his stats aren't quite as high. Because Darling's been so good, it may detract from people voting for Crawford as opposed to Holtby. Grubauer hasn't played as many games as Darling, so it's just optics. Does not mean that Holtby's a better goalie than Crawford. It's all optics. It really is. Uh, Chicago doesn't really need the win. Montreal does. Montreal is looking at a situation where Ottawa's hot on their tail and has two games in hand. So Montreal cannot lose this game. It should be a really good game, and I intend to watch it if I can keep my eyes open from 3 hours sleep last night. Tampa's in Ottawa. Vasilevsky and Condon. This could be a high-scoring game. The potential is there. Because Condon runs hot and cold, and so does Vasilevsky. So if you play your cards right, this could be a 6-5 game. I like Tampa. I do. I know Ottawa's been on a really hot run lately, and they've been doing really, really well. But see where Tampa's below that line? Tampa doesn't want to be below that line. They want to move up here. And if Tampa wins and Toronto loses tonight, which is possible, and I'll explain why in a minute here, um, Tampa slides into this spot. And even though Toronto has a game in hand, if Tampa slides into that spot for that last playoff position, the Capitals start crying. Because the idea of playing a battle-hardened Tampa Bay Lightning team in the first round instead of a young and inexperienced Toronto Maple Leafs team in the first round, it's terrifying. But that's okay because Washington may not end up winning that division anyways. I'll get into that as well when I talk about the standings, which are so tight. Toronto's in Florida. Florida is sitting 7 points out. The odds of them making the playoffs at this point are remote. But Reimer versus Anderson. Reimer is motivated. That motivation is limited, as Steve Mason proved last night against Columbus. But Bobrovsky got the win over Philly, so, Reimer is due for a really good game. And Toronto is feeling a lot of pressure right now. And I don't know that they're full value for that playoff spot right now. Tonight's game is going to tell a lot about the Maple Leafs. But I have a funny feeling Florida wins this just to keep themselves at least in the conversation for the playoffs for another couple of days. Dallas is in Edmonton. Dallas is starting Niemi, who didn't look very good the other night in relief of Lehtinen, who didn't look very good either, which is a surprise for Dallas, really and truly. Edmonton with Talbot. Uh, Edmonton should win this going away. This should be like a 4-1 win, easy. Um, and Edmonton is in good shape, and I'll get into that as well because there's some Edmonton fans that are concerned about the playoffs. Arizona in LA. LA Bishop is likely as a starter, considering Quick lost last night. I can't see them coming back with Quick again tonight. We'll see though. Bishop is probable at the time that I'm recording this. Demang is confirmed. So Arizona, I think, is going to lose tonight. I do. I think LA is going to beat them because they have to. And in Buffalo, San Jose, Buffalo's not on this chart because they fall behind Florida, and Florida to me is the absolute limit I'll go on this chart. San Jose, well, they're 7 points up in their division, but I think with what Calgary's been doing, I think they're going to want to, keep that space between them and second place as wide as possible. So I would think San Jose wins this, but Lehner is capable. So when you look at the standings, okay, so we'll get away from the scores and we'll just look at the standings here. So you got Montreal in first, Ottawa second, Boston third. Boston, the odds of them winning the division are almost zero. The win last night is more to keep them as far above this line as possible. For the Bruins, because everybody else behind them has games in hand, they have to win the games they're playing. And for Washington, they're tied with Pittsburgh. They're 1 point ahead of Columbus. If Washington isn't careful, and if they lose this game to Minnesota tonight, they could find themselves in third place in their division in a couple of days, which is absolutely insane because the top three teams in the NHL points wise are Washington, Pittsburgh, Columbus. Just let that sink in for a minute. And number 4 is Minnesota. So if Pittsburgh wins that division, if they go into first place, and if Toronto somehow holds on, Pittsburgh-Toronto would be an insanely fun series, but I don't think it'd be a very long series. But man, it would be fun to watch. If Washington drops to third, so Washington does all this work all year and they drop to third in their division, it takes some of the pressure off, but it leaves Washington open to being knocked out in the first round. Let's just say Columbus wins that division. Let's say Columbus goes on a run, wins that division. You have Washington, Pittsburgh in the first round. I picked Washington back in the summer to win the Stanley Cup this year. I would probably be witnessing them going home in the first round. I can't see anybody beating Pittsburgh in the first round. Second round, maybe. First round, no. The Rangers are where they are. They only have 12 games left, so everybody has games in hand on them. They have 90 points. It's unlikely they move up, and they basically can't drop down. They're 14 points clear of the second wild card. So at the very least, the Rangers can know that either they'll slide into third, and think about that. They're 5 points back of Washington. If Washington keeps struggling, what if Washington ends up as the number 1 wild card? What if it's Washington and Montreal? It's bewildering and odd, but it could happen. But for Toronto, they have to win this game tonight. They have to keep space between themselves and the Islanders and Tampa, and that's not going to be easy. Philly's back here. Philly's on the chart. I only put Philly on the chart because I wanted to get Florida on the chart because Florida's playing Toronto. Florida can leapfrog Philly, but it's an uphill climb for Florida. Out west, Minnesota and Chicago, of course, are 1 point apart. They're both playing tonight, and Nashville is 12 points back. So Nashville is not going to finish first or second and could actually fall down. In the Pacific, San Jose's first. Calgary and Anaheim are tied. Calgary's got the lead in regulation and overtime wins. A stat which is going to hurt Anaheim's chances in the playoffs if they, use that as the separator, and they say, oh well, you guys are on the road because you didn't win as many in overtime and regulation. You won more in the shootout. Whoever gets home ice in 2-3 in Pacific, I think wins that round. Edmonton, 79 points. I know Oilers fans are concerned. I've read, people are concerned that it's slowed down somewhat. Here's the thing. So, yes, Edmonton could fall behind St. Louis. Edmonton could find themselves in a first round matchup with Minnesota or Chicago. I honestly think that would be good for Edmonton. Facing Chicago, you're facing a team that you know has won the Stanley Cup 3 times in 6 years. A team you know exactly what you're getting with Chicago, and I think that kind of battle-hardened team is exactly what the Oilers need to face in the first round. Minnesota, you have a veteran team, solid goaltending, and I think Edmonton matches up very well with them. I think where Edmonton's problem would be is as the top wildcard team, they play San Jose. I don't think they match up well with San Jose. Am I advocating them dropping down in the standings? No, because no team in their right mind would lose on purpose. But I think they match up better with Minnesota and Chicago only because for Chicago, it would get them into the playoff mode immediately. It's Chicago. It's Chelsea Dagger. It's this team that's built up this mystique over the last decade. And in Minnesota, it's a team that has busted their asses all year and plays an up-tempo, exciting game, which is Edmonton's bread and butter. St. Louis, right now, they're on pace to pass Nashville. St. Louis has looked great over this winning streak, just as good as they looked bad during their losing streak. I don't know which team is real between St. Louis now and before, but they're burying the Kings. Kings are 5 points back now with 14 games left. That is very difficult to make up. And Winnipeg is sitting back here 10 points back. They're the next highest team in the West, and they've only got 12 games left. So Winnipeg is done. 10 points back with 12 games left. You're not making the playoffs. You're trying to figure out what you're going to do next year. So there you go. The standings, the scores for tonight. Let me know which winners you think we're going to see tonight. And I think this board for the standings, that's crazy. It is so close. There are so many pieces that are in motion, and there's no set matchups. With about a month to go, there's no set matchups in the NHL. It's going to be a sprint to the finish. It's probably good that the postponed game tonight between Winnipeg and New Jersey, that both the Jets and the Devils are out of contention, because if that game was an important game, I think there'd be more upset over it being postponed. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who wins tonight. It'll be interesting to see what happens from here. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. I am still doing my best to keep my energy level up, as the fact I got 3 hours sleep last night is catching up with me just a little bit. But I'll do her. Again, let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you all again soon.